It's always interesting going back in time to games of the past when you fall in love with the new iteration. This was the case with the Ratchet and Clank series. I had never really played a Ratchet and Clank game, minus a few minutes of Deadlocked probably 7 years prior, up until the remake came out. I don't know why I bought it, I guess I was just super curious about it and my best friend told me on many occasions that it's one of his favorite franchises. But I fell in love with the remake, so I went to the effort of playing basically all of the other core games in the series, and man, what a series it is. So yes, I am reviewing the original Ratchet and Clank here on That Game Review Show. I honestly really wanted to review the remake, but as soon as I started to record the footage, I noticed that Terrell had claimed the game on our list. What a fake fan though, I don't even think he has the Platinum Trophy for it. It's fine though, I hold zero resentment towards this lovable bastard, none at all, son of a bitch. So this is an interesting game as far as the series is concerned. It's funny and wacky, not super deep, but there are a lot of really cool moments if you pay attention to it. So because of this, I am not going to go through the story, but I will talk about it. As I said, there are a lot of really interesting and cool moments. Like how Clank meets his mother, who is a computer, and she says she's proud of him, and it makes me cry every time. The overall story has a lot of satirical portrayals of consumerism which still strike the right chords even today, because of how handed it has even gotten. Also, with the whole coronavirus thing, I'm dating this video horribly by saying this, considering a lot of politicians and corporations are willing to let people die because they gotta make their money. It's very poignant. A very big difference between the remake and this game is the overall attitude between the duo. In the remake, they're buddy-buddy pretty much from the get-go, but damn, in this game, they barely stand each other. They basically hate each other. It's an interesting dynamic that we don't really get to see a whole lot, especially in children's games. But of course, at the end, we do see them being more friendly with each other, even having Clank seeming pretty upset when Ratchet appears to be leaving. Oh, and in this series, the robots have just like as much personality and as emotion as organic people do, so that's pretty neat. The main part of this game is the gameplay. Duh. But one of the staples of the Ratchet and Clank series are the weapons. While you cannot play this game in first person, much to the disdain of Terrell probably, you get a wide variety of weapons to use, like a blaster and grenades to lightning and rockets. However, this is also where the pains of the original game shine in full force. One of the biggest issues is that you have to deal with the lackluster targeting system that doesn't really work all that well. This, coupled with the very limited health pool, makes the game incredibly difficult, especially towards the end. Towards the end, I ended up just using the Visibomb, a remote-controlled rocket, to take out most of the enemies because it was just way easier than trying to get closer and dying repeatedly. I mentioned the health pool, and yeah, it's pretty awful. You start with 3 hits before you die, which doesn't sound too bad at all. Problem arises when your attacks are limited to what's basically your direct line of sight, and most enemies have long-ranged attacks that are hard to avoid when you can't see them. There is a health upgrade that you can buy that gives you 4 total hits, which is awesome and all, but it's not nearly enough. There is another upgrade that costs 1 million bolts to buy, but it supposedly doubles your health. If I'm gonna be honest, I've never gotten it. I can't stand playing this game enough to get that many bolts. That's not to say I don't like the game, but after a few hours, it does start to wear on me. I do want to put that out there. On the subject of bolts, they are a carryover from Insomniac's time working on the Spyro the Dragon series. This sounds weird to say, but it does make sense. Bolts are left to guide your path and are dropped by enemies upon defeat, and they are collected from a relatively close range. They basically brought over and modified the best part of Spyro, which was the fun in collecting the gems. There are also some crates you can destroy that will give you bolts as well as most of the environment. So bolts aren't even hard to come by, and that's because you have to pay for your weapons, ammo, tools, upgrades, and even story progression. That is just about all I want to talk about regarding the original Ratchet and Clank. It's a fine game, but it has many issues that the sequels improve upon. Seeing as I played the reboot first, it was interesting seeing the inspiration for all the levels in that game, most of them being pretty faithfully lifted into that game. I do, however, think that the game technically has more overall levels, so there is an advantage here. If you have any slight interest in this game, it is really easy to get a hold of. You can play it on the PS2, the PS3, and the PlayStation Vita, so there are a few options to play this game. It's relatively cheap as well, especially with the HD collections being about $17 used. And also, I'm sure Matthew would be upset if I didn't mention this, emulation, because that's a thing. Anyways, that is it from me this week. Definitely a shorter video, but I needed something to take a bit of a break. Plus, if I don't have much to talk about, I don't want to try and force it. Next week should hopefully be Terrell's week. At the end of writing the script, we are in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak, so hopefully my co-hosts are safe and healthy. Same goes for everyone watching this video. Hopefully everyone watching this video is a little, safer, because Matthew still has to work, even though we have the stay-home order, and Terrell, well, he was supposedly exposed to it, so let's see how that all unfolds. I should be okay, though. But also, my girlfriend works at Walmart, so oh boy, this is a trying time. Be safe, everyone.